So, a few years ago, I was in one of my darkest and most anxiety filled days of my life. Stick around, and in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what I did step by step to get out of that rut. Just a really quick introduction for those who may not know me. I was in basically a shithole a few years ago, and I've since turned my life around basically a 360. So now I have my dream job, and I've also been able to, get my goal physique. And in this channel, I share my journey and share tips as well to hopefully save you a lot of time if you're considering going on a similar journey or are on a similar journey. So if that sounds interesting, please do like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into the content. By the way, I have some notes in front of me, so if I'm looking down at any point, I'm just looking at my notes. So I'm going to set the context here a little bit. So I'm going to talk about the past, and then I'll talk about where I'm at right now, and then some of my future as well. So starting from the past, and I'll try to make this as quick as possible. The past stuff. So the earliest kind of time when I can remember that things started to get really bad was when I was 17 years old. I'm 25 now, just for context. So at that time, I was hanging around with the wrong people. I had extreme anxiety. Like that year, like I've had anxiety my whole life. I still have it to a certain extent. But that year, I knew there was a massive difference from last year to this year. So I knew something had changed. I was sleeping through most of the day to avoid life. I was very, very insecure, and I was doing bad by just about every metric that you can imagine, right? Or you can come up with. School, I was failing courses. I was in high school at the time, failing courses, not doing great in school at all. And, internally, mentally, physically, I was just in a terrible place. And fast forward so I'm going to skip the years in between. So the years in between, what happened was things did slowly start to get better and better, but a lot of it was still there. So there was still a lot of anxiety and such things. There were slight improvements again, but nothing notable to really point out. That's why I'm going to fast forward a little to around 19 to 20 years old. When I was either 19 or 20, I don't remember exactly, I came across the book The One Thing by Gary Keller. And at that time, I didn't really have the attention span to sit down and read a book, even though it's not really a very big book. So I actually watched a YouTube summary of the book. Basically, what that book proposes is just finding like a high impact thing to do and committing to that one thing rather than trying to do a whole bunch of things. And the author proposes that that's a good way to get extraordinary results. So I thought that I could do that. For my whole life previously, what I'd done is, I'd have little productivity bursts, I call them, where I'd be like, okay, starting today, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to journal, I'm going to do all these things, going to eat healthy, all of that. And then I would stick with that routine for maybe like 2 weeks, right? And then after that, I'd fall back to my old ways. And then after I read this book, I thought maybe there's a different way to go about this. Maybe I need to, instead of focusing on a bunch of things, just focus on like one thing and just commit to that one thing. And let's see where that takes me. So what I did was I committed to fitness because at that time I was extremely insecure about like my physique and how I looked physically. So I said, okay, I'm gonna commit myself 100% to fitness. My workout routine, my nutrition, and that's gonna be like my one thing. So even if I do nothing else productive all day, I'm gonna commit to fitness, and I'm gonna run with that. So that's what I did. And in other things in life, I still wasn't doing great, but for my one thing, which was fitness, I went as hard as I could. At the gym, I was going hard, making sure my nutrition was on point, and such things. Of course, I still wasn't perfect because from my starting point where I was coming from, where my diet wasn't great and I didn't really work out that much, it was still tough to kind of nail things down 100%. But I was truly giving it my full effort. This was more effort than I'd ever given anything else in my life before. And when I did that, I started to see, physical changes in my body. And, after a few years, especially, I started to see some major physical changes. And I would say my fitness goal was the first goal that I'd achieved in my life, the first truly hard goal that I'd achieved in my life, right? Like before that, I'd maybe done small things here and there, but there was nothing I could point to say, there's this one really hard thing and I did it. And when I achieved my fitness goal, there was something tangible I can point to there and say, hey, this was a hard thing to do, and I did it. And that really increased like my internal confidence and my feeling and my feeling in my ability to accomplish goals. And at that point, I wondered, okay, could the same be applied to my career? Because my career was something else I wasn't really doing great in, and I really wanted to improve. So this concept that I took to succeed in fitness, can I apply that to my career? And it turns out that I could. So what I did was I made coding my one thing. So even fitness took a backseat for me. And for 2 to 3 years, it was either 2 years or 3 years, I don't remember exactly. It was either a little bit more than two. Actually, I would say average it at, it was probably just a little bit more than 2 years. It definitely wasn't a full 3 years. So I applied the same thing to my career. I made coding my one thing, and I made sure that no matter, even if I did nothing else productive all day, I would do my computer science homework and all such things. So I was studying sometimes up to 8 hours a day, 8+ hours a day. On average, I would say I was studying 6 to 7 hours a day. I was fortunate in the sense that I didn't have to work because my parents allowed me to live with them and just study basically full time. So I was very, very fortunate in that sense. But I was studying again on average 6 to 7 hours a day. So I did that. Did the studying, did fairly well on my degree. I had a decent GPA, and then I got an internship. I want to say at the start of 2021, if I'm remembering correctly. That was a 4 month internship. Again, this was my one thing. So even if I was doing nothing else, I made sure my internship, work was all done on time. It was done well. So I excelled in that internship, and I was able to leverage that experience to land a six-figure job just a few months after that. So that was basically everything that I did to get from that rut to where I'm at now, right? Now, I want to talk about the present a little bit, and I also want to talk about some caveats here, right? So at present, as I've discussed, got my goal physique, got my goal job. A lot of mental barriers were broken along the way, and that was the most important thing. Like the money wasn't important, whatever muscle wasn't important. The mental barriers that I broke along the way really helped me to feel more confident in myself. They were great for my self-esteem, right? And overall, I just feel more positive about myself now. And like I kind of alluded to at the start of this video, it's not like my anxiety is just eradicated and everything is just like all sunshines and roses. I still have anxiety, but not to that same extent, right? So if we were to kind of compare where my mental state was at, and I'll try to kind of visualize with my hand, right? So yeah, by the way, up is good, down is bad. So if at 17 my mental state was like over here, right now I would say it's like over here. It's still not perfect. I still get down days like everyone else. I still, have my ruts here and there. But overall, I'm doing significantly better, and I couldn't be happier about that. And at this point, I feel like I can accomplish so much more. This was definitely not something I've even felt at 17. If at 17 you told me that I'd have a well-paying job by like 23 years old and I'd achieve all this fitness goal, etc., I wouldn't have believed it at that point. At that time, all I really wanted to do was like move out, smoke weed all day, and that's really it. Like maybe play video games or something. So, yeah. So at this point, I feel like I can accomplish so much more, and that's thanks to the mental barriers that have been broken. And overall, one more thing that I really want to mention: this isn't all about, at least in my opinion, it's not all about just accomplishing, like I said, just getting more money or like looking more jacked. One other major key, so major key alert, like DJ Khaled. One other major key that has been a part of this journey is just being more grateful and being more positive, right? When I was and I was initially, and for the majority of my life, I've been a fairly negative person, kind of always assuming the worst, having a lot of fear in my brain and such. And changing that to reframe things to look at the positive, changing that to look around me and seeing all the great things I have in my life has also really helped me get out of that rut. It helps me feel more energized through the day. It helps me feel more capable of doing things. And I consider that also to be a major help in helping me to get out of the rut I was in. But the main thing that really got me out of my rut really was the reading the book, The One Thing, and then committing to a goal, accomplishing it, and then just breaking that mental barrier. Once the mental barriers kind of started to break down, things got a lot better for me. So just some future plans, and I'll make this really short because it's not too relevant to the video. But future plans, to keep on doing well. I feel like I'm doing well right now, and I want to keep the momentum going and keep on accomplishing more and more goals. I want some of the goals that I have. A is to grow this social media, my YouTube, Instagram, and such. So please do, if you find the content interesting, please do support the channel and such. And I also want to fight within a year. So I've taken up boxing training, and I do want to fight within the next year. And hoping to make that happen. I am training fairly hard, trying to go to classes and such as much as I can, and really hope I can make that happen within the year. And yeah, that's really all I have for this video. Whoa, I just slammed my monitor. But I'm happy to elaborate. I tried to make this short to just get like the bullet points across about the main things that help me. If there's anything you would like me to elaborate more on, potentially create a video on, or if you just want to, chat a little bit about any aspect that you would like me to elaborate more on, feel free to DM, drop a comment below. More than happy to respond to either. And please do like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.